Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today I'm answering a Dear Ruth Theresa question. So the question is, Ruth Theresa, what are some ways to kind of survive or get through Mercury in retrograde easy? So there are a few things that can make this much easier than some of the others. So one of the things is make sure that you take a look at all of your electronic devices prior to getting in, even in pre-shadow energy of Mercury in retrograde, before it gets there. Usually a few weeks in advance. I'll even put a calendar reminder on my phone, like 3 weeks prior to Mercury going into retrograde, get your stuff in order. So kind of these are the things that I use. So looking at my storage on my laptop, on my computer, on my phone, how am I doing? If there's any issues, I'm going to deal with them right then. If something's kind of been happening, don't wait later on as we get closer to Mercury in retrograde, so it's going to make it worse. I take care of it right then. Some type of issue, something going on, make sure that I am saving my work often when I'm working online or typing something up or an article for something. So I'm kind of keep things like every few minutes I'm saving. Not waiting until the computer does it. I'm doing it ahead of time. So if something happens, I've got my work. I also have backups on my computer that go off every evening at a certain time. And so if I lose something, I've only lost 24 hours worth of stuff. I haven't lost months and weeks and years worth of stuff. It's one of those, I have it. So I just need to back up, like I said, every 24 hours. So usually it happens at midnight and it backs up. And anything that's changed or modified or new or anything like that, it's backed up to that. Also, when my husband and I get home, as soon as our electronic devices, usually our cell phones, hook into the Wi-Fi, it automatically downloads any changes that have happened. So if I've taken pictures while I was gone, if I've made a recording while I was gone, if I put a new calendar event or anything like that, it's automatically updated as soon as it hooks up to the system at home and it's downloaded to my computer. So I have everything backed up. So one of the other things that I like to do is kind of, if there's any issues that are possibly coming up during this time frame, transportation wise, talking to other people, any relationship stuff, things that are kind of like, we're not getting along really well, so let's deal with it now. That's my philosophy. Deal with it now. Don't wait till Mercury gets into retrograde and it gets even worse. Those are kind of like getting that energy going in the right direction before we get to that point. It's also, like I said, talking through any conflicts, talking through if there's something going on with the people around you, and it could be your neighbors, your friends, your family, whatever it is. Talk about it prior to getting in the Mercury retrograde energy. One of the ones that I really love to do is kind of like confirm plans. When I have a lunch date with a friend or something I've got going, or we're supposed to meet up, I even have a hair appointment or makeup appointment or whatever it is, any of those things, I'm going to over confirm. If someone sets a new appointment with me, I will also email them, I am just clarifying, this is the date and time, this is where we're meeting at, whatever it is. And I may do that several times during that time frame, because in Mercury in retrograde, that's when you're going to have those miscommunications. So I'm going to do it more than I normally would. Let me kind of over confirm my plans. If I have to go somewhere, it's plans that I've made in advance, and that's the time frame that I have to go, but I'm going to confirm the plans. I'm going to give myself plenty of time if the plans change. So if I have to travel somewhere with someone else, did they have a flat tire? Did they have car problems or anything like that? The travel day is the travel day. I'm not going to plan anything for like, oh my gosh, we have to be there in the next 5 minutes or 5 hours or whatever it is. Like, no, take your time, make it easy. If plans change, if things happen, if things fall apart, don't freak out over it. Take a nice deep cleansing breath, and then what's the solution? How can we fix this? And usually it's talking through the problem. Okay, so the car broke down and it has to be in the shop for the next 5 days. So let's take someone else's car, or maybe we need to rent a car. Maybe we need to borrow a car, that sort of thing. So that makes it much easier and not so stressful of, oh my gosh, what's coming at us next. So that makes it easier. Confirming your plans, and then make sure wherever your plans are, you have plenty of time that day or that morning or whatever it is, that if something goes wrong, you have plenty of time to fix it, or you have plenty of time to work through it. Reading all the details, not one of my strong suits. I am not into something, reading all the instructions on something or putting it all together. Now, Mercury in retrograde, I will change that or modify that a little bit more. If there's any contracts or if there's any questions about things, I'm going to be looking at those very closely. And if there's something I don't understand, either I'm going to look it up or I'm going to talk to someone else. And making sure that I'm getting clear communication about the details. What does this mean? What does this mean to me? What does this mean? What is my obligations on this contract? What is my obligations in this part? What is it that I have to require doing? I will usually try to keep away from making appointments or things during Mercury in retrograde, but sometimes it just can't be helped. There's, life has to happen. So I will read all the details. I will look at things. I will look at the contracts prior to Mercury going into retrograde. So it's kind of more like I'm finishing things instead of starting something new. That's kind of an easier way to deal with it. During Mercury in retrograde, this is a really, really, really good time to spend some time by yourself. Sometimes that's meditating for me. Sometimes that could be also taking time to what's coming up next, kind of doing vision boards, kind of like putting those together, kind of like thinking about what's coming up ahead, not starting a vision board, continue it working. What else do I need to put on here? What else have I forgotten? I already had the pictures. Which other picture would I like to put on here? What would I like to change or modify? And I love putting stickers on my vision board. So that's sometimes something I love doing during Mercury in retrograde. And that just kind of allows that energy to come up. And then kind of like, what else is there? Spending time by myself, meditating, a big deal, a big, big deal. Especially if something looks like, hey, we've already had 2 miscommunications, something else is up. I'm going to take the time to really, really read their emails. I'm going to look at their words very closely, kind of into the details. I'm going to look at this very carefully. And then I'm going to meditate on it. What do I need to say, or what do I require saying, or getting clear information from the other side? That makes it much easier. Instead of fighting the energy, it's kind of like, okay, I'm allowing this to happen. One of the big, big, big things is before I send a text message, before I send an email, before I post something on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere else, before, I'm going to reread it. I'm going to make sure that it's clear. And I'm going to really think about, do I require sending this out? If it's something that I'm doing just for fun, I may not do that. But if it's something business-wise, I'm going to read it, reread it, make sure that it's spelled correctly, make sure that it's clear. Like I said, I'm more likely to have miscommunications during Mercury in retrograde than I am at any other time. So that makes it a little bit easier. And kind of making sure that I have time. I'm not in a rush to post something, so I've really got that time, and don't just send it like, oh yeah, I'm going to send it kind of thing. I'm going to look at it. What is it saying? What is it saying I'm committing to? What is it saying I need to do? And I love those. You know what I'm saying? Like, but literally take some time. Take a few deep breaths and kind of like, is this something that I really require posting at this time? What do I really require getting out of there? One of the big ones I would say is kind of letting others speak. So many times when we're in communication with other people, we are not always listening to them. And we're almost... I did a video on this, so it's kind of like we're almost like kind of just like thinking, what do I need to do? How do I need to say something back? If I don't feel like I'm being heard, the equal sign in this relationship is the other person. And so if I'm not feeling heard, most likely they're not feeling heard. So that's when I'm going to take time to really, really listen to what they have to say. Sometimes I'll even take notes write a few things down that was really important, that I really want to address at some point. I'm going to make them feel respected. I'm going to make them feel that they're being heard, make sure that they feel being honored. And then when it's my turn to talk, I'm going to require the same information from them. Wait till I finish. Let me finish my side of the information. Let me do all of this. So that makes life so much easier. But when I take the time to listen to them, then it also gives them time to listen to me as well. Because a lot of times like I said, we don't really talk to each other. We talk around each other or about each other, but we're not really clearly communicating with each other of this is the information that we need to talk about. This is what we need to deal with. We need to work through, and how are we going to deal with this? And it doesn't mean I'm always right. Definitely not always right. Yet at the same time, I have an opinion and I have a right to express my opinion, even if it's wrong. And then we can have a communication about why my opinion is wrong, why we shouldn't do that, or why this is like not a good thing. And we can talk about it, but I also get a chance to speak it out. And that makes things much clearer, much easier, much more like less stressful. Anytime you're kind of fighting with Mercury in retrograde's energy, it makes it even harder. Let's see. Really take time during Mercury in retrograde to really think about what you want to communicate to others. What is it that you truly choose to communicate with others? And make sure that you are clearly delivering that message. And if they start to talk over me, I'll be like, hold on, you get your turn in just a second. Let me finish this part. So I can speak freely, and then I can freely hear their part of it. And we're less likely to have barriers. We're less likely to have miscommunications. And then even then, just because I'm a little crazy, I will ask for clarification. So I'm clarifying that you and I are going to have lunch this date, this time at this restaurant. And I may even text it later on as I'm putting it in my calendar on my phone. I may even text it like I'm just verifying this one more time that this is the information. Sending up reminders for myself and for them, making sure that we're all on the same page. This is a really good thing. The last one I kind of really love doing during Mercury in retrograde is, as we get closer to Mercury in retrograde, what are the projects that I have kind of put off on someone else, or I've put off to the wayside because I didn't have enough time to do it. Now, what would I like to finish up? How would I like to finish this up? Mercury in retrograde is a really great time to fix or review or relook at that sort of thing, and kind of what do I want to fix and change in that area. Makes it much easier than starting something new. Anything that's new that started in Mercury in retrograde usually doesn't last and usually doesn't stay for very long. So that's kind of the best way to put it. If you have any questions or suggestions about Mercury in retrograde, please let me know. I have heard some really, really fun ones over the years, but let's pull some angel cards and get us a little bit more information about not just any Mercury in retrograde, all Mercuries in retrograde. All of them have these kind of energies. And so the more you communicate, the better off it is. Enchantment. Don't think of Mercury in retrograde as a bad thing or a bad place or a bad anything. It's okay. You're going to work through it. You've been through hundreds of them in your life, depending on how old you are. But work through it. Learn how to work through it. And anytime you make a mistake, it's like, okay, I've made a mistake. I've learned what not to do. Now, so let me learn what I can do and how I can fix this. Makes it much easier. Ideas and inspiration. Ideas and inspiration are something that really pops up during Mercury in retrograde, and usually it's an idea or an inspiration of how to finish something off. If I'm working on a piece of jewelry or I'm working on a project, I may get like, oh my gosh, this is how this has to end. So it's all about finishing up things that are going on, finishing up what's going on around you, so we can move on to the next phase and kind of like get you ready for what's coming up next. Serenity. Take time for yourself during Mercury in retrograde. Make sure that you are taking time for yourself. Make sure that you're meditating, making sure you're giving yourself a few extra minutes to get things done. Don't be in such a rush that you're rushing from one event to the next, one event to the next, over and over and over again. It's not good for you, but it's not good for Mercury in retrograde. Mercury in retrograde wants you to take time, wants you to kind of work through things differently and kind of allow yourself to kind of spend some time with yourself, do a meditation, relax, take it easy a little bit, and make your life a little bit easier. When you do that, things get easier and more clear. And then when you come out of Mercury in retrograde, you almost have like, okay, these are all the things I wanted to start during Mercury in retrograde, so now I can start it today. I can get this energy going in the right direction. That's the fun part of Mercury in retrograde. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.